And you've written Muddled Daze. You wouldn't tell us the moment at which you had the thought of the idea. Will you explain what goes on? In the book, a bloke appears to be more or less dead in hospital.
Yes, he's a bit of a hapless guy, and he's had rather an unusual accident whereby a crate of pineapples has fallen on his head in a dock, and he goes into a coma, and he eventually recovers and is sent home, and he then finds out that he's experiencing Thursday every week before Wednesday. He didn't realise that while he was in hospital, because every day seemed the same. And he then tries to get help. He tries to explain to people that this is what's happening, and they don't believe him. He gets put in a psychiatric hospital, but they don't believe him either. And so eventually he decides, well, I just have to get on with my life, and can I exploit it? And then he gets into a series of adventures with his mate Beaky, where he tries to exploit what he regards as his gift, somewhat ironically.
Beaky has a big nose, and him up for anything else. That's why he's a Beaky man.
Yes, he's
a great character.
Yeah, well, I quite like him because he's extremely ugly, and he makes Graham, who's the hero, feel better because he feels better beside him. In any competition for the women, he's obviously going to win.
Graham's old women aren't very good, are they? I mean,
no, he's very hapless.
He's hapless.
Yes, a lot of things go wrong in Graham's life.
How did you actually do the writing of it? Because it's quite, once you start doing stuff about time, it gets, there are complicated implications to your own story, aren't there?
There are. I mean, I did have to do a lot of revision and thinking to try and make it, well, not believable, but consistent.
Give us an example then of that.
Well, it's making sure that you don't say one thing in one chapter and then it's the reverse in the next chapter. So, I mean, as you know, you spend a lot of time editing these stories. Fortunately, it's not a long story, so the editing wasn't too bad.
It gives a sense of great enjoyment to write, I have to say. It's full of gags and sort of remarks and very brittle dialogue, isn't it, between all these people? And they're not all nice, are they? You're not very sentimental.
No, there's... hopefully it's a mixture. It's supposed to be black comedy, and there are some really quite dark bits in it, but I personally like the contrast between farce on one hand and serious darkness on the other. I like that contrast.
What next? What else have you got that you're writing?
Well, I have started another bit which is sort of based on the area where I live and the farming community and the rural community, and I've always been a bit spooked by remote farms, and so I've developed this idea about a rotten underbelly of the rural community. Of course, Ashover's not really like that. It's lovely, but you could just imagine under this tranquility that there could be another side of life, and I'm trying to develop that.
What side of things are you thinking of there?
Well, I've got this very unpleasant farm where all sorts of nasty things happen, including murder, and all of this is happening beneath the surface. Animal cruelty, and I prefer not to say more. There's more, and it's even nastier than that. But I'm reluctant to give up my plot.
Absolutely, people will be writing before we finish the programme. How far have you got with it?
I've done about 30,000 words. I don't know. I think for me things have a natural length, and I don't know how much longer it will roll.
How do you do the actual writing? When do you do it? Where?
I do a lot of thinking when I go away and write notes. So that's one way I do it, and I sit at my computer and do bits. I write some of it longhand and then fill it out. And I am a member of a writers group, and that gives me sort of a fillip to. I've always got to just do a bit.
What do they do? Gather together and rip each other's writing apart?
Yes, that's right. It's just a so-called creative writers group, but it gives me an incentive. I find that very useful, just to get me, just gives me that fillip. So
where do they meet?
in Chesterfield, and it's on a Monday, so I always do some writing on a Monday. So that's just
Right. Is it also true, and you're a man of many parts, that you're the treasurer of the trade stands and craft tent at the Ashover Show?
Yes, I was actually the secretary for 5 years, but it was taking up so much of my time. It was almost a full-time job, and so they've now employed somebody actually to take on that.
Should we all come to the Ashover Show? Would that be?
Oh, it's wonderful. I don't know whether you've ever been, but it's
I know
it's
Ashover.
a beautiful.
Hills and things.
That's right. It's a beautiful setting, and we have steadfastly maintained a real country show. You don't get any car boot sales or such like at Ashover. It's very rural and it's very traditional, and it's a beautiful day out.
And it's on the 8th of August.
Yeah.
We'll come and see you. Best of luck with the next book, Chris. Thank you. Chris Futrell, who is my guest today on BBC Radio Sheffield. I've been Ronnie Robinson. This is Smokey Robinson. Bob Ballard's coming next with all the news of the day, and Bob's slushing ballads as well.